We are Lisa and Brian, and we are from Pelham Manor, New York, and we have 2 kids.
Espen is 10, and our little guy is 7. Espen he's a very resilient kid and a confident kid now. He's curious. So he's a great kid. He's loving and caring. In fact, his coaches tell us he's too nice. They want him not to be so nice in games and things like that. Mainly hockey. Ice hockey.
He plays hockey 7 days a week.
I think we live here and the rest of our time is spent in a hockey rink somewhere around the country or Canada or somewhere.
Espen was having problems the minute he got to kindergarten, and he could not focus. He couldn't sit down. He had his hands all over other kids. And so we had a meeting with the school, which led to daily reports, awful reports, and us, taking everything away from our child that he loved, for discipline, and it just didn't help. So
looking back at it now, I almost feel bad because we didn't know something was actually wrong with him. He wouldn't do homework. He wouldn't sit down. He couldn't focus. He couldn't sit in a chair. Even things like going on a car ride was hard for him, even just to sit in a car and sit still. So those kind of things, and I'm thankful to my wife that she found you, because for me, I'm like, oh, he's young, he'll grow out of it, right? And she's like, he's not going to grow out of it. So those kinds of things that didn't stop, in my eyes, led us to think that there's something more going on here that we need to address. I don't know how to put it in words. It wasn't he would go from crying to being okay, those kind of things. He wasn't like a just, on an even keel kind of kid.
And then so there were some outbursts all the time.
Probably every day. Yeah, every day.
Every day. It was awful. It was controlling our life. It was really putting a damper on our family. Our pediatrician recommended for us to see a neurologist, for Espen to see if he had ADHD to begin with, because of all of the things that were happening in school as well as, home. So outside of the classroom, we had tried this class called Confidence Kids. We tried creams, we tried brushing, we tried roll-on scents, we've tried sensory blankets, we tried vitamins. He was seeing a school psychologist once a week and getting reading help daily at school. He had a ball chair at school. He had a band if he had to sit in the chair. We even went as far as putting a weighted blanket on our weighted vest on our kid at school to make sure that he would be sitting down, and nothing really got to the root of the problem. So we started testing to see if Espen would get a 504 plan or an IEP through the neurologist. COVID had just hit and we're all at home, and now my husband and I are the teachers, and we realize actually the severity of the situation. He was not present in virtual classes because he could not really sit still. So I found you, or Dana, the ADHD Thrive Institute via Facebook. And I am not a social media person. I really go on through social media to find out what's happening in our town, but somehow you came with the grace of God, within our feed, and I found a solution. And the minute I watched your video, I told my husband, we need to schedule a consultation. And we didn't become members right away, which, when we think about it now, we could kick ourselves, but it took us about 6 months to return, which now looking back, we shouldn't have waited. And it really, the turning point for us was seeing you on the Forbes magazine and all the press you were getting, which just convinced us that, we really wanted to move forward. And the program has been the best investment in our life, and we truly got our kid back.
I think it was about 8 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, because, this was the pickiest eater. This is one of the things that stands out, right? And you had always told us you are not going to believe how this kid's palate's going to change. And we were like, yeah, okay, right. And this kid went from eating like chicken nuggets, and the standard thing to like, what is that, beets? Can I try that? Or, oh, what is that, asparagus? That looks good. What are we having, salmon for dinner? It's just like, it's incredible how this kid's palate has really opened up. And as far as, I guess, school homework is no longer a challenge. Do your homework, okay, it's fine. He doesn't like to read, he doesn't like to write. Those are like his 2 things, but he'll do it. He'll actually do it without a fight, which is, that alone is transformational in a house.
We just woke up one day and said, is that our son? And it was. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, he's literally like a different kid. So this is a kid that went from not being able to pay attention on the ice to skating around in circles. They'd be playing a game and he'd be in the game, but not in the game. He'd be the kid banging on the glass, crying for me to take him off the ice, which was, mortifying to us as parents to witness this, but that's our kid, right? So we have to deal with it. So this is a child that went from that to making a AAA rated team, just coming back with my wife from a tournament in Canada and winning most valuable player in a game in the tournament. I mean, he went from literally not participating to being a top player on his team, literally in a few years. I mean, that just alone is incredible to us. That's a sports aspect, which is great, but also he has friends. He's more interactive with his friends. Going to school is fun for him. He's just a different kid. I mean, he's just a different kid. Go with a natural approach, because Dana and her team's approach will address the actual underlying issue. Whereas I don't think other modalities will. You don't want to just address the symptoms. You want to find out what the cause is. And the cause for every kid is different. For Espen, it's going to be different than for some other child. And Dana addressed the actual specific issues with him. And it made a world of difference. So I would say, also, it's a journey. You have to trust the process. It's not, to use a metaphor, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme kind of thing. It's a process and a journey, but if you follow the process and you go down the path and you do what the program tells you to do, the results will be fantastic, I'm sure.